Hello and welcome back to the Data Protection Diaries. I don't know what I was going to say then. Hello and welcome back to the Data Protection Diaries. In this video, we are going to be talking about training. Now, I want to make it very, very clear at this point, at the very beginning, that I am not talking about general training courses, certification courses, specific training sessions designed around specific things, specific standards, certifications, parts of regulations, etc. because those are really, really important. What we're going to talk about today is that sort of general awareness training, that kind of annual e-learning type training that people do within organizations, and why, for me, people are doing it wrong, and there's potentially, from my perspective, a better way of doing it. As always, if you find this video useful, if you find it interesting, please do subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel as well, please do make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell notification button. You'll be informed of when we release a video. We try and do sort of one a week, sometime around Monday to Wednesday-ish. But if you have any questions, please do let us down in the comments. Let us know down in the comments below. But anyway, for now, let's get on with today's video. Talking about training. Now, this applies for me regardless of what you're doing, but obviously specifically this is a data protection channel. So we look at data protection related activities and obviously stuff in the security sector as well. So we're going to focus on talking about it in that kind of context. But I am not talking about certification training. So I'm not talking about specific courses for specific things. If you want to go and be a GDPR practitioner, if you want to go and do that course, that's fine. That's not what we're talking about. I'm not talking about auditor courses. I'm not talking about 27001. What we are talking about is general awareness training. So in business awareness training that you give to all employees generally on an annual basis. Now, you just know the type of thing I'm talking about. Everybody's seen it, everybody's had to do it. You'll get the email from HR, you'll get the email from the line manager, from the compliance team, wherever it comes from, saying that it is time to do your annual refresher training. Now, if you're lucky, your annual refresher training may have been updated from the previous year. And if you're not lucky, it may not have been updated from the previous year. But generally, just to give you a sense of what we're talking about here, it's online, it's some kind of e-learning. There'll be some slides, and there may be a couple of videos, possibly even a couple of animations, and then there'll be a 10-question multiple choice test at the back. And as long as you get those answers, or 80% of those answers right, then you're done, you've passed. You are compliant, you are aware, you know what you've got to do, and you know how to keep your business safe and secure. Or do you? One of the biggest problems with this kind of generic awareness training is that it tries to cover a multitude of things in a very short space of time. You then end up with this sort of split situation where some courses are quite short and try and cover a lot in a very short space of time, and others then try and drag it out, and it can end up being an hour and a half to 2 hours long. People lose focus, they lose interest, and they're just not concentrating on what they're doing. When you're looking at refresher training, when you're looking at how to create awareness within an organization, you have to get away from the mindset and from the idea that training has to be done on an annual basis, and that the meaning of that annual basis is that it's once a year and it's done over an hour and everybody does it in the same way, because that is one of the biggest problems that we find within organizations. What you really should be looking at is what's important for your business and what matters for your business from a risk and from a regulatory perspective. So you need to be encompassing more than just the GDPR. Good if you want to train your employees on the principles of the GDPR or the ins and outs of the different articles, but how does that actually matter to them in their day-to-day role? Like, what's important to HR? What's important to your frontline teams? What's important to the people that are working from home? How does that regulation and how does privacy and security and the surrounding legislation equate to me and my job and what I'm doing? And that is what your annual refresher training should be focusing on. Now again, to go back to the other comment about it not being like a snapshot in time, it not being like today is the day we're going to do our annual refresher training and it's going to take an hour, that can be spread out over the year. Your training can be happening all of the time. It doesn't have to be with a test at the end. It doesn't have to be a multiple choice situation. It can be through snapshots. It can be through awareness campaigns. It can be through reminder emails. It can be through your company newsletters, your company intranet. It can be a whole manner of different ways through competitions, clear desks weeks, different kind of activities that can actually then encompass your annual refresher training. So you're delivering that information throughout the year. It's cultural, people are getting to understand it rather than just sitting around looking at some slides, getting to the multiple choice questions and then asking whoever sits next to them what they answered to question 4 or how many principles are there, or who do we send a subject access request to. Make that information and take that training and embed it throughout your organization, and you will find that it's taken on board much better, and you'll find that people are learning much better, which is really all that this is about. It's about learning and it's about making people more educated. Now, I'm not saying this is the same that occurs when you've got an induction program. So for those of you going, oh, but when we do inductions, we need to be able to give information. That's still fine. Have that snapshot of the organization. But again, don't treat the data protection or the GDPR or the privacy slot of an induction as an opportunity to give somebody an overview of the GDPR in great detail, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to need it. What they need to know is what's important for them in their role within the organization. What is best practice? How should they be handling information? Who should they talk to if they've got any concerns? So don't focus your training on a particular topic or a particular aspect of the regulation. Look at best practice, look at the much broader picture, and you're going to find that you're actually going to create a much more effective culture within your organization where people understand and they get how things matter to them as an individual rather than just getting some generic training. I get that there's probably a risk that I'm talking myself out of a job and out of some work here, and we as a business, we deliver training, but we also don't deliver training that we don't think is relevant and we don't think is purposeful. And in our role as DPOs and in our role as consultants and in our role as a service provider, we don't see the benefit in delivering stuff that doesn't have a commercial benefit to the business. And that's why I think this is a really important conversation and one that doesn't come up very often, doesn't really get had very often. As I'm saying, I'm not talking about full training courses. I'm not talking about things that training courses are designed around specific activities or specific processes or specific certifications. I am talking about the generic annual, everybody needs to do it because so-and-so in HR said we need to kind of training. Let's rip that up, let's create a new way of doing things, and let's just build a better culture, and you'll find that actually your annual refresher training is all of a sudden just an ongoing annual activity. I'd love to get your comments, get your thoughts down below. As I say, there's a huge number of people that we work with who are fantastic trainers and training providers, so this is not a dig at any of those people, and you know who you are, you know you're good. But let me have your thoughts. Let me have your thoughts in the comments down below. And who knows, maybe we'll talk about it again. But we look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks very much for watching.